All right, today we are in section 8.3, using intercepts. And in this section, we're going to use a different strategy to graph equations. So yesterday in 8.2, we learned how to graph equations using tables, right? Our input-output tables. So today, instead of using the tables, we're going to take the same equation and now we're going to graph it using intercepts. So you don't necessarily have to write all of this down, but I do want it on the recording. There's a couple things that we need to know. You actually only need 2 points to graph a linear equation. So yesterday, how many points did you put on a graph? 5. Okay? Well, technically, you only need the ones on the ends, and then when you connect them, you know, that tells you the direction that the line is going. So the x-intercept is the point where the line crosses the x-axis. The y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis, all right? And to find these intercepts, I do want you to write down this entire statement. To find the x and the y-intercepts of a line, substitute 0 for the variable you are not solving for. So what that means is if I'm solving for x, I substitute 0 for y. If I'm solving for y, I substitute 0 for x. So in example 1, we are going to find our x and y intercepts of the equation. So what you're going to do is you're going to write the equation 2 times. Okay? You're going to write it 2 times. On the first one, you're going to solve for x. On the second one, you'll solve for y. I like doing it that way because x comes first in an ordered pair. Okay, so on the first one you solve for x, on the second one you solve for y. Okay, so if I'm solving for x on the first one, I need to substitute 0 for y. What's 2 times 0? 0. So the whole point here is you can't be solving for 2 variables. So you have to take one variable out of the equation, and then you go 3x equals 6. Okay, and now we can solve for x. X equals 2. Now, we can pair these together to make an ordered pair. If my x value is 2, and what value did I substitute for y? 0. That makes an ordered pair, right? Yes. I'm going to kind of try to squeeze it in. So if x equals 2, my ordered pair is 2, 0. Okay? And I can graph that ordered pair, can I? Yeah. On an x value of 2. All right, so now we're going to do the y value. And when we do the y value, we need to substitute what for x? 0. Whatever we're solving for, we substitute 0 for the other variable to take it out of the equation. So now we have negative 2y equals 6. And then you divide both sides by negative 2, y equals negative 3. Again, I need to kind of squeeze it in here. So y equals negative 3. And then my ordered pair, well, my y value is negative 3. What did I plug in for 0 or for x? 0. So there's my 2 ordered pairs. You see what we did there? Okay. Now I want you to do the second equation, 4x plus 5y equals negative 20. So you're going to find your x and y intercepts and make ordered pairs out of them so we can plot those ordered pairs. All right, so we're going to write the equation 2 times. Have you done the first one yet? Okay, so if I'm solving for x, what do I substitute for y? 0. So now 4x equals negative 20. Now what do I do?
Divide by 4.
Divide by 4 both sides. And x equals negative 5. So what's going to be my ordered pair?
Negative 5, 0.
Negative 5, 0. Okay. Now on the second one, if I'm solving for y, what do I substitute for x?
0.
0. Oops, hold on one sec. Take that out. Okay, 0. And now I have 5y equals negative 20. Y equals negative 4. And then what's my ordered pair?
0, negative 4.
Okay, my ordered pair here, and I'll just write it off to the side, is 0, negative 4. Okay, and now I have my 2 points that I can graph. -5, 0, and 0, -4. All right, so we're going to come over here and we're going to do a couple graphs. I just need you to label, I think I need you to label 2 graphs for our notes today. Okay, but I need to show you, I think 4 problems, 4 graphs on your homework tonight, maybe 5 out of the 6, but 2 of them aren't the fully involved where you have to find the intercepts, like this one. Okay, so go ahead and set up your graph. All right, so we have our graph set up, and now just real quick, I'm going to go back. Here's our ordered pairs right here. -5, 0, and 0, -4. I substituted my 0 so I could solve for x and y, and now I'm going to graph these points. All right, so I have my xy axis. One of them was at -5, 0. The other one was at 0, -4. And there's my line. I need to also label my equation on my graph, and I'm done. Okay, so these graphs on your homework tonight will only have 2 points. Any questions on that? Okay, so they really...
Like X and Y.
No?
Like you put -5 and -4.
Correct. So you plot a point on an x value of -5, y value of -4, draw the line through, and you're done. Okay, you don't have to label anything else on the graph. All right, now there's going to be a question on your homework tonight that's actually kind of convenient. It gives you the graph, okay? So you don't have to copy this graph down. It gives you this graph, and it says what is the x-intercept and what is the y-intercept. So go ahead and do that. Write it down on your paper. Based on this graph, what is the x-intercept and what is the y-intercept? Okay, what is the x-intercept?
4, 0.
Okay, so here's what all you have to say is 4, but yeah, well, let me see what your book does. That's a good point. Does your book make it an ordered pair? Number 4. No, on your book, it just says the one number, the x value. So you just say x-intercept of 4 and a y-intercept of what? 3. Okay? So that's all you have to do for number 4. And then let's say number 6 on your homework, it just says x-intercept of 4 and y-intercept of 5. So literally all you're doing is setting up your graph, plotting the points on those values, and draw your line. That's it. Okay? 10, 14, and 18, that's like example 1 where you find each intercept, set up your ordered pairs, and then graph it. Then you have one more, and this is one question on your homework. What they want you to do is they want you to find your intercepts, but you actually have to come up with your own equation. And here's how you do it, okay? So you need an x value and a y value. The good thing is the problem really lays that out pretty well for you. For example, which value is your x value? Paddling. Which value is your y value? Drifting. You know what drifting means? Like if you're in a canoe, what are you doing? You're just going with the current, right? You're just chilling, relaxing, whatever, taking a nap. You're just drifting. When you're paddling, you're doing the work, but what's happening? You're going to go faster, okay? So that's why you're going 4 miles per hour when you paddle, and how fast do you go when you're drifting? Half the speed, okay? So we need to set this up in an equation. Well, you're going to set up the rate times, you don't know how many hours it took, okay? You know the total distance, you just don't know how many hours it would take at 4 miles an hour and how many hours it would take at 2 miles an hour. Do you see how we got 4x and 2y? Your number 19 on your homework is very similar, okay? One of the numbers is your x, the other one is your y, and then you have your total. Write that 2 times. Now I want you to find your x-intercept and your y-intercept, and make sure to set them up as ordered pairs. The ordered pairs here are really important because that actually is going to help us answer the question or draw a conclusion for this word problem. A lot of times with word problems, we have to make an application or draw a conclusion. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so 4x plus 2y equals 12. If I'm solving for x, what do I substitute for y? 0. So 4x equals 12, x equals 3. And as an ordered pair, that would be 3, 0. If I'm solving for y, what do I substitute for x? 0. So 2y equals 12, y equals 6. All right, so now, sorry, I didn't mean to. Okay, so now that I have each intercept, I'm going to come over to my graph. Do you guys have another graph set up? A second graph set up? I want you to plot a point on each of these intercepts and draw the line through that point on an x value of 3 and a y value of 6. Okay, so does everybody agree that my line would look like this? Okay, so you've got to remember back to what these variables meant, okay? With my y value, what was my y value? Was it paddling or drifting?
It was drifting. Wait, paddling
Yeah.
X.
No. But my y value was drifting. So here's what it's saying. If all I do is drift, again, there's no value in here for x for paddling. You see that? So my x value was paddling, my y value was drifting. When I didn't do any paddling, this is how long it takes me to get the full length of the river, the 12 miles. All right, so here's my conclusion. Before I do that, let's talk about this point right here. Okay, this is not the only other solution, but I think someone else pointed out they wanted 3 combinations, so 2 of them are my intercepts. Why do you think I picked that other point right there? I could have picked a different one.
Because it's closer.
It's not necessarily closer, but it's right on the grid line. Do you see how the x value is even and the y value is even? Where else could I, well, we don't want one in the negative. That wouldn't make any sense. We want a point between the outer points, okay? The point needs to be between these outer points, and that one is right on the intersection, so that's why I picked that one. Okay, so now that I have my 3 ordered pairs, now let's make a conclusion. If I'm not paddling at all, drifting will take me 6 hours to get to my end point. So I want you to take this middle ordered pair. What does the middle ordered pair mean? Okay, again, it's all being compared to the total distance to get 12 miles down the river. What does that second ordered pair mean?
Paddle. 2 hours.
How long would you paddle?
2 hours, drift 2 hours.
Exactly. So instead of it taking 6 hours for me to just kick back and chill, I mean, maybe you have all the time in the world and it doesn't matter, but let's say it's 2 o'clock and dinner's at 6 o'clock. Well, if I take 6 hours, I'm going to miss dinner, right? So I'm going to paddle part of the way, and then I'll drift. So maybe I'll take some breaks, so I'm not like just totally exhausted by the time I get done. Paddle for 2 hours, drift for 2 hours. Now I make it for dinner. Okay. So my third option. Okay, now I want you to draw a conclusion based on that ordered pair. You've already seen the first 2, so what does the third ordered pair mean? Don't say it out loud, write it down. What does the third ordered pair mean? Anybody want to take a shot at it? What does it mean? Janie? What does the third ordered pair mean?
Do you paddle for 3 hours?
And do you drift at all?
No.
So you must be in good shape, right? You're going to straight paddle for 12 hours and not take any breaks. Okay, that would not be my option. Which option would you choose?
I would choose
not
that
go
one.
at all.
Paddle
Paddle for 2 hours and drift 2 hours.
Okay, so you do half and half. How many people would just be like, nah, I just want to chill the whole way down. Just drift.
I would just be fishing.
I'll be last. I don't care. I'll take 6 hours. How many people would just want to just paddle the whole way and just get there as fast as possible? Yeah.
I love canoeing.
Okay, so do you see how we made a conclusion? We still set up our intercepts and we still graph them the same way, but now they mean something. My X value meant paddling, my Y value meant drifting, and now I can make conclusions based on these ordered pair values. That's number 19. Okay, I want to break down your homework, and I'm going to include this on your video. Okay, just like I told you earlier in the lesson, number 4, all you have to do, and I already set it up for you. What is your x-intercept and what is your y-intercept? Number 4 should only take you a few seconds. Number 6, you are going to have to graph that on graph paper, but here's the good news. They tell you what the intercepts are. There's no math to do. All you have to do is set up your graph and plot the points. Okay? So number 6, it might take you a minute to set up your graph, but other than that, no big deal. On numbers 10, 14, and 18, again, this is the bulk of your homework. There's only 6 problems, and 3 of them you have to solve for your intercepts. Just like we did. How do you solve for the intercept? If I'm solving for x, what would I plug in for y?
0.
0. If I'm solving for y, what would I plug in for x? 0. And I come up with my intercepts and I plot those points on a graph. So solve for the intercepts and then graph. All right, I didn't mean to put up number 19. Go ahead and turn to in your books to number 19. Animal nutrition. Anybody have an animal? You guys have pets? Dogs? Cats? Anybody have a bird?
I used to have parakeets.
Don't like birds. Don't like birds. No, I'm not a huge animal lover
I'm gonna
anyway.
start catching like fish out of like.
Okay, turn in your books to page 400. I want to go over number 19 real quick. Okay, it says your beagle is allowed to eat 800 calories of food each day. That's kind of a lot for a 20-pound dog. You buy canned food, that's 40 calories an ounce, and dry food, that's 100 calories an ounce. So what you're going to see here is 2 categories, okay? And really, the first one I come across, that's going to be my X value. The second one's going to be my Y value. So do you know how many ounces? Okay, so 40 calories per ounce, but I don't know how many ounces of canned food that'll be. 100 calories per ounce, but I don't know how many ounces of dry food that'll be. Try to set up your equation. Everybody should get the total, right? What's my total? 800. You need 2 equations, so 40 is going to be connected to a variable, and 100 will be connected to a variable. Try to set up your equation, and we'll go over it in just a sec. Okay, so we're going to go 40x plus 100 what? Y equals 800. And so some combination, could there be different combinations of dry food versus wet food, canned food? Yeah, so that's why, and just like with any linear equation, is there only one solution? Is there only one answer? No, there's all different kinds of combinations, and that's what we're going to show on our graph. Do you see the connection? Okay, so what you're going to do, I'm leaving it here. Okay, I helped you set it up, but here's what you need to remember for the application side of things. Once you get your x-intercept, that means all he ate all day long is canned food. Once you get your y-intercept, well, all he ate all day long is dry food. And then you need a value in between. Remember when we plotted that point at 2, 2? You need a value in between that splits it. Well, maybe he has some canned food, maybe he has some dry food. Okay, so solve for your intercepts, graph them on a graph, but then you have to go back and show me, let me see if I can backtrack it. You've got to show me these 3 options here. Okay, I'm going to count these on your homework grade. So I need to see 3 options like this, but with the food combination. Does that make sense, guys? All right, and these instructions are on the recording on purpose, so you can actually go on YouTube tonight for a refresher as you're working through these problems. All right, if you understand that, that's all you need to know for 8.3.